It's not been the best of Independence Days for India at the Oval so far, all out for 148. But there is a happier narrative happening slightly further away from London at Wormsley, where India's women are playing their first test match in 8 years, believe it or not. They're chasing 181 for victory, and last we checked it was 91 for 2. So it's nicely in the balance there with a day to go. Joining me is Isha Guha, who played for England. Isha, you were there for the first 2 days. What have you made of that match? Because it's been a fascinating back and forth, very low scoring, but both teams seem to be in with a chance going into the final day.
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange one on the first day when England were bowled out for 92. It was the dawn of England's new era, just got professional contracts 2 or 3 months ago. Everyone kind of anticipating how they would have improved since their last sort of opportunity on the world stage, I guess, the World T20 in Bangladesh in March. So for them to be bowled out for 92 was a bit of an anticlimax. It was, there was a lot of green tinge on the wicket, and obviously India winning the toss, putting them in. It was, a good decision by India. Overhead conditions caused a few problems for the English batsmen, and I think as well they got caught up in the fact that they had 2 relatively inexperienced players in the top 3. So as soon as Heather Knight was out, you had 2 inexperienced players just not quite sure how to approach the situation, whether they should go for their shots or just be quite watchful. They ended up being very watchful, leaving anything outside the off stump. And they kind of got themselves into a little bit of a hole, and that had an effect on the rest of the innings, I think, obviously being bowled out cheaply. Then India, in return, were 41 for no loss, and at one stage England were probably panicking a little bit until Jenny Gunn came into the attack and picked up 5 wickets, which meant that India only had a lead of, I think it was 25 or so, 22. Going into the 3rd innings. As the days have gone on, England, they found themselves struggling again, 5 wickets down for not many runs, and then formed a real partnership for the last set of batsmen, some real guard action from the tail, in Jenny Gunn, who's probably not a tail-ender batsman, but she certainly put her hand up alongside Anya Shrubsole, formed a partnership. And then got themselves into a decent position of 180. I actually thought 150 would be a decent score on that wicket, but I haven't actually seen what it's doing, whether it's flattened out or not. They're currently 80 for 2, I believe.
Did you expect India's women to perform like they have? Because they haven't played this format in 8 years. That's obviously, I think of the 11 that they've got, Karuna Jain, Mithali Raj and Jhulan Goswami, the only ones who've played Test cricket, yeah. So that's quite astonishing, really.
Well, the first thing to say about that is that obviously a lot of the debutants would have been very excited about the opportunity to play the longer format. These girls actually have had the opportunity to play longer format back in India in the domestic structure, 2-day games, whereas the England girls, they play 2020 in 1-day format. So it was going to be a case of adapting as quickly as possible, and I think India have done that extremely well. They've got 2 experienced bowlers in Jhulan Goswami and Niranjana, who obviously picked up 4 in the first innings. She looks particularly threatening with the ball, as she did do when they came over last time. So experience there, and I was always going to be concerned about their sort of second string attack, you could say, but they managed to pick up wickets as well in Sharma and Pandey.
You spoke about England's new professional era. Is that a worry for the world game as a whole? Because you've got England and Australia now with professional contracts who are looking to really move ahead, and then you've got India in a sort of state of limbo. I mean, they are under BCCI control, but there's no real push to promote women's cricket. Is there a danger of a big gap opening up between the top 2 and the rest?
There is a danger of teams sort of pulling away from the pack, you could say, and England and Australia have really raised the bar in the way they've supported their women. We're now starting to see countries around the world following. So the West Indies girls have central contracts, Sri Lanka, South Africa have just added another 8 to their already 6 who have had central contracts. So we're seeing actually around the world globally that other people are starting to follow suit. The BCCI are yet to do that, and I think in a way this series for the Indian girls is one to just prove a point and show that actually they're worthy of being supported more financially, not just financially, but when it comes to the whole infrastructure of the whole thing. So more coaching support, support when it comes to strength and conditioning and physio, and being able to, when they are injured, go to someone immediately. Because I spoke to Julan Goswami recently, and she was saying that it does take a bit of time. I mean, our England girls, once they get injured, they're in the hospital the next day, and it's just support like this that can really help a team.
Yeah, but as much as that support in terms of a structure, they need to play the best teams, right? I mean, they can't be playing Test cricket once in 8 years. They can't be playing England once in 5 or 6 years. It has to be more often than that.
Yeah, that as well, and that definitely adds to it. You know, the levels of competition and the people that you're playing against. I certainly think India in the past have maybe focused on weaker sides in global cricket, I guess. We've seen them at the global arena, and they haven't been able to get through to the latter stages of the tournament, which has been a bit of a surprise considering India have been such a dominant force in the past. So certainly, you know, more remuneration in terms of financially, but coaching support and also competitive games cricket.
Finally, one last question. I mean, Mitali and Julan are obviously coming towards the end of their careers. Who have you seen in this game who excites you? I mean, looking at the future of Indian women's cricket.
Smriti Mandhana, someone to definitely talk about. I think she's still only 18 years of age, from Mumbai. I think she scored maybe 40 odd in this second innings, but she certainly looked the part. When I watched her bat in the first innings, she did well against the academy. Someone who actually looks a bit like, I mean, I watch her bat and she looks exactly like Anjum Chopra in the way she plays. Very high elbow, looks to be quite attacking and positive through the cover region. And when you've got youngsters like that coming through, it can only be good for women's cricket in India. We know the abilities of Harmanpreet Kaur. We've seen Poonam Raut, who's been incredibly successful for India, and Mitali Raj obviously at the helm. You've got Julan Goswami in the bowling attack, leading the attack. And I think you need that mixture of experience and youth to really help these younger girls sort of push through on the world stage.
Thanks a lot for joining us, Isha. We'll let you know more about that game when we catch up tomorrow, and more from the Oval as well. Thanks a lot for joining us.